Hey guys, welcome back to another video on what if Sophia survived in The Walking Dead. So let's get into it. We start off by seeing the Horde who originally came to the farm in season 2, and now they're slowly at the farm and they're breaking down the fence of the farm, and they'd eventually break it down, and then they'd all start walking in towards the farm. And the second the group see it, they'd start all firing at the Horde, using a lot of their bullets early on as they're panicking. And Patricia would get devoured by the walkers. And this would be a sacrifice moment for her, as she allows T-Dog and Beth and Lori to escape. And this would be a heroic moment for her, and the reason she chose to do this is because she didn't really have much to live for after Otis died. So this would be sort of and this would finally reunite Patricia with Otis after her death. And T-Dog, Lori, and Beth, they just straight up dip as fast as they can. Herschel would try to defend the farm with this infinite ammo shotgun, but eventually, him and Jimmy would hop into a RV, Dale's RV, along with Dale, and all three of them would escape. And they'd get off the farm. But Shane, he isn't willing to leave. He's out for blood. He's just angered as hell. Because I believe if Shane survived to the finale of season 2, he'd be rage infused, like, to the top. And Shane would kill every walker he sees the second he sees it, and his aim is spot on, along with his hand-to-hand combat and basically everything that he's doing. But eventually, Shane will start to get overrun by the walkers. And in this universe, Carol and also Maggie and Glenn and also Sophia would all get out from Glenn and Maggie's vehicle, but this time it'd be Sophia and Carol along with them. Rick would convince Carl to go with them, saying that he has to go and it's not safe here, and there's not enough room for Rick in the car, but Rick will fail get out. He says just Carl's got to get out first so Rick can get out. At first, Carl wouldn't want to leave Rick behind, but eventually he'd understand that Rick also has to get out after Carl does, as if Rick escapes before Carl, like, how is he going to get out? Because, of course, Rick cares about Carl more than himself, and Carl eventually agrees to get in the car. But he's not too happy about leaving his dad there alone. And Shane and Daryl and Rick would be the only ones left on the farm. And Shane doesn't look like he's leaving the farm anytime soon, as he's out for blood against these walkers, and he's just killing every walker he sees. But eventually, he's gonna run out of ammo and get overrun by them. Daryl would try to tell Shane to get on his bike, but Shane would refuse. And Shane would tell Daryl to man up already, as he believes this is the end of the world and the end of the road. And Shane tells Daryl, you want to die fighting or you want to die running? And Daryl right there would just ride off on his bike, as he doesn't really care about Shane too much. Because Daryl, in the first 2 seasons, he wasn't that much of a good person. I mean, he was in season 2, but, he of course didn't show any, he didn't care about Shane in season 2 because Shane was just, a bad guy. Now, the farm's just left with Shane and Rick. And somebody has lit the barn on fire, and it was probably due to all the chaos going on, and the barn would start burning down. And there's a lot of walkers that Shane and Rick managed to trap inside, and a lot of those walkers would die, mostly the herd. And a lot of the whole herd would be wiped out by this. And the barn is slowly burnt down into small little pieces. And Andrea would still encounter Michonne in this universe. And Shane tells Rick if he wants to go, he can. But Shane's not leaving this farm. And Rick says, think about your child. I know everybody's gonna think it's mine, but in reality, that's your kid that's in Lori. And you're gonna be like another father to that kid. But if you don't make it out this night, that kid, he'll still never know who his real father was. He'll just think it's me, but he'll never even have gotten to know his real father and what type of person he was. He deserves to know that. So now, we either leave this farm together or we die. And Rick would eventually end up convincing Shane to leave the farm, and both of the best friends ride off. And Shane apologizes to Rick as he may have came out a bit aggressive at him, and he's sorry for what happened with Lori and him. Shane tells Rick he thought Lori needed somebody to protect her and Carl, so I stepped up. Now, I didn't know things were gonna go that far, but I'm sorry. Rick would reply with, it's not your fault. But at the same time, it is. And so is it Lori's, and so is it mine's. It's all of our faults. You try to help out as much as you can to protect Carl and Lori for me. And Lori went a bit overboard, but I don't blame her. She needed somebody to protect Carl and her. And Rick replies, and Rick would also say that, and it's also my fault that I was gone. While I was in that coma, I didn't know anything that was going on. But the second I woke up, all I wanted to know was if Carl and Lori were all right. And you protected them for me, like the brother you are. And Rick and Shane would become friends again with what Rick said. And they're both out to find the group. And they'd both look for a long time. And eventually they'd all meet up at the highway. And everyone would be reuniting with each other. But the only loss in this universe would be Patricia that night. But everybody else, like people that died, like in the season 2 finale, like Jimmy and Shane, they survive in this universe. So yeah, that's awesome. But anyways, guys, that'll be it for today, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed, and bye.